bring the special meeting of June 23rd to order. We'll stand and recite the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion. Second.
The special meeting is all in favor.
Aye.
The special meeting is noticed for the sole purpose of reviewing and acting on the citizen petition requested for preparation of an environmental assessment worksheet for URBA, the cannabis cultivation operation at 7440 Cabin Drive. The Environmental Quality Board's designation of Royalton Township as the responsible government unit. And the meeting is allowed the board to consider the petition, the township's obligation, and the approximate next steps to respond to the Environmental Quality Board. The new business, let's review the petition.
What you have in your packets are the first several pages of summary of the petition. That lays out the main points of the petition as identified by the petitioner. And the full petition, which you've had an opportunity to look at, represents 100 and some pages.
So a few of the main topics for the petition would be for groundwater and shallow well contamination, wetlands, federal protected river and wild rights, drip irrigation that are proposed, lights, and odors. So we need to review the designation of the township as the responsibility as the RG.
And after the petition was received, does this come through?
No.
After the petition? Better? Thank you. After the petition was received by the EQB on the 26th of May, they sent it to us and announced that we were the responsible governmental entity. And they had determined that because we have 3 open administrative site permits for the 3 buildings that are being proposed, was their justification. The county approached the EQB and asked that authority be transferred to the county. That was denied, so that is why we're here tonight. As the responsible local authority to review the petition, approve or deny, as stated in the EQB, the rules and procedures summarized in a 9-page handout and following the administrative rules under which the EQB operates, Chapter 4410. We are, according to 4410, we will have to make a resolution, we'll have to adopt a resolution either denying or approving the petition, and that must be done this evening because we've already had the required 15-day extension because we meet only once a month.
So we need to review the written submission on the petition.
We'll ask the petitioners if they wish to address.
Denise, you were the petitioner. Would you like to stand up at the podium and we go through, if you want to take a few minutes and go through your petition? We'll try to keep it to about 5 minutes or so. To go, if you could go through a quick
Yeah, I have
petition.
sorry. The letter that I submitted on May 17th.
Is that microphone working?
Is this better?
Yes.
All right, so I have the letter here that I gave you, or I sent to Royalton Township on May 17th. Going through here, we've had a lot of questions as far as the petition is October, we found we had a background. We didn't, we did it through the free clinic. That was at Royalton, to soil and water. It wasn't, I believe, notified the township of that in October. We didn't understand why or where it might come from. I believe I received some information from Kelly, Pine County, and in there was preliminary cultivation business plan, and in there it stated that they are shallow well tested at 23 parts per million, which ours was 24.8. So it kind of, since we didn't put things on our permit for nitrates, it was definitely a question as to where this is coming from. And just that more isn't added to the groundwater with drip lines and whatever else they have going on there. We've talked about water pollution, health department, as far as, they say anything above 10 parts per million is not good for human consumption. And we're at 24, they're at 23. So, there's some very serious issues there that need to go on. As far as light pollution, believe that that's been talked about. There's been letters that Royalton Township has also sent Pike County as far as the lighting goes. You can see it's 6 miles away. And it's also quite a nuisance to the neighbors where literally our animals are crowing at 1, 2 in the morning because it's lit up everywhere. As far as odor goes, I believe that we've talked about odor. There's been many complaints. As far as I'm understanding, there's been at least 28 complaints with Pine County. I think 14 here on several topics as far as like 12, 14 different people. The river is a protected river through the federal government. It's a wildlife sanctuary. So I think that when we already have contaminated groundwater, this is something that needs to be addressed. I don't believe anybody wants further issues happening with contamination. And I believe that's what most people were really interested in. Pegagama is noted through municipal pollution control as having high nitrates and fertilizers, and actually a site that's open through municipal pollution control. We're not saying that we're contaminated with groundwater. What we're saying is further waters, further pesticides and fertilizers that go into the ground will continue to not let the soil heal and groundwater heal. I believe a lot of our letter has to do with some of our zoning. We have not followed our regular zoning as far as being able to have public input. We don't have use permits, IUPs. I've seen different, I believe on the 30th, there's a public hearing, and we're quite concerned with a light on an outhouse and how it affects neighbors. And I believe that that is a valid question, but yet we have something that goes all night long. And this is not taken into consideration. We just have not supported the residents of the community, the concerns, the environmental concerns, and that is pretty much what that petition is about. The neighbors, there's 136 people that signed it within 48 hours. People want to be represented, and they want to make certain that this isn't contaminating their community anymore. And that is what's all.
We had, 3 other people that submitted, via email for the, for or against. If those people would like to get up, and just give a brief 2 minutes on their, why they should or why they shouldn't. Barb Dreyer, do you want to start? I do.
Which sums up everything I have to say.
Yes.
Okay. I just sent an email, last Friday or so, just on my insights and being on the planning commission. And so I'll just read the email and if you have any questions, you let me know. Over the last 10 days, I've spent a considerable number of hours studying township and county ordinances and the environmental public work website. As a result, I'm going to go on record that the township board accept the citizen petition requesting immediate review. We have no idea how the current facility is impacting the environment, in particular the groundwater. So it behooves us to at least our ordinance book, which just means guiding our present and future development of the town. There are some goals and some policies, and I just have one of them here. It's A2. The quality and quantity of surface water and groundwater should be preserved by the appropriate regulation of all development activities which have the potential of impacting water resources of the township. That's our comprehensive plan. That's what we believe is important to the people in this township. This is what is in the book because it's a priority. And I'm just asking that. That's what we use as a priority. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. John D. Gray was the other email. John, if you'd like to come up.
Yeah, thank you guys. The reason I wrote the letter is because there's a lot of things going on here. Plus the fact if he does do these new buildings, where is his stormwater is going, where his ponds, where everyone else, because I'm in construction, we have to build these stormwater projects. If the ground is polluted already, he's gonna be adding stuff to it, so that's why we need this study done. Because if we have to clean it up, the county, if you say you're not gonna do it, and the county, and then we find pollution, who's gonna pay for that? You're gonna say that you didn't do the study before it happened, because the bond will not cover the cleanup after the fact. So, so that's the things that I'm looking at, you know, obviously light, I see light more than anyone else because I'm directly across it. I got direct view to the greenhouses, and they're shining straight at me. So the light pollution is ridiculous. I can go over there and look at my father-in-law's shed, and it looks just like it's right. If you're looking at it right now, it looks the same when the lights are on. And the smell, of course, we don't need that smell around here. He's got means to keep it from smelling, but he's not going to do it. So this is why we want this cleaned up now. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, John. The other person would be Joe Zappa. Joe, would you like to take a couple minutes?
Sure. Thanks for Denise's, Joe Zappa, 7440 Down Drive. As for Denise's point about a well, sorry to hear that. We don't drink out of our shallow wells because they are 23 parts per million, whatever it was. Also, we didn't start our operations until October. So if your well is tested in October, we didn't start operations in October. We've had absolutely no impact on your water, guaranteed. Lights, asked and answered. We've covered lights till we're blue in the face. I know the requirements that the state and the county set forth. Odors. John, if you don't like the odor now, I just planted an acre and a half sitting right there next to you. So you can smell that in a few weeks. And
Joe, could you direct?
oh, I'm sorry, certainly.
Please.
Yeah, I was just answering some of the questions here. The point of the matter is nothing in the petition is germane to the building permits that I have requested. All of our wastewater is captured as per required. We dispose of it according to Minnesota and county laws, and we'll continue to do that. My plumber was here at the last meeting, explained very clearly that's contained. We actually use one of your tanks, John. We actually use the tank from your company to contain that water and then dispose it as required. So yeah, I really don't know how my building request affects anything in the environment in a negative fashion, and would request that the board dismiss the petition request.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, as of this afternoon, we have one other submission. An email from Linda Lewis. She happened to be here. And it says, I'm writing today asking you to support the environmental assessment worksheet. I live at Dynamite Road in Graston. The lights from river greenhouses are clearly seen from my location when they are on. That was the substance that was the entirety of her email. legal counsel provided us with two options. One, a resolution approving the EAW. That's what's on the screen now, and you have it in your packets. And one which we will show later, denying the petition. Summarize the date.
On May 22nd of 2026, a citizen petition was submitted to the Environmental Quality Board requesting preparation of an environmental assessment worksheet for approval. There are 7 whereases. This is a resolution ordering preparation of the environmental assessment worksheet. Petition identifies concerns relating to groundwater quality, nitrate levels in nearby shallow wells, wetlands, and property edges, approximately to the Snake River and Pecagama Lake. Fertilizer used through drip irrigation, odor emissions, lighting impacts, and general air quality. The now and therefore be it resolved, the Royalton Township, if a motion and a second is granted, the Royalton Township Board orders preparation of the environmental assessment worksheet for cultivation, operation, and local 7440 Cali Drive. Move on to the other one, please.
I'm not sure everybody that's sitting there can read on the screen. Or wait,
You make it bigger.
There's more to the plus.
I can from here.
Do you want to hear? If you press the plus, no, it's right here. I was gonna say if you press the plus next to the numbers. No? That's smaller. But if you press the plus next on the top of the screen, it'll make it bigger and the words will get bigger. Here. Yep. Keep clicking. Keep.
See that in the back?
Everybody good to move on?
Could we read the bottom?
Is it drip irrigation or
is the water being hauled away? I'm perceiving it.
The drip irrigation is for our outside grow. It's the most environmentally sensitive way to irrigate with the least amount of water and recognized nationally as the.
And it goes in the ground.
For my outside grow, which is not a part of this permitting process in any way, shape, or form, anything that's in the greenhouse, any wastewater from cleaning, irrigation is captured and all away. Every single crop. Then we have to report that quarterly to the company who has our records.
Even the hot water.
Even the mock water. Thank you.
Could I ask a question? I just want to ask about the petition itself, the people that were signing. When there's people that are outside of our township signing the petition, how we ended up here? Or did you confirm that all of them were in our township?
I went through quite a few of the signatures, and I don't think they were all in the township.
And so how did we get that if
Joining
they're
counties.
not from our township?
The petition is,
Adjoining counties.
the petition does not require, signatories to be in the township. It only requires that there be a legal address with each petitioner's name.
I'm just trying to figure out why we got stuck with it. Like, why did another township get stuck? Because his address is here?
The EQB appointed us as the responsible governmental unit because that is where the property under consideration is.
Okay.
A resolution for denying the petition for the environmental assessment worksheet for Incorporated.
Yes. After the petition is reviewed, we can give the legal counsel's recommendation on how much time we can spend on discussing the petition itself, or the resolution itself.
on the denial, the now therefore and it be resolved that the Royalton Township Board denies the petition for preparation of the environmental assessment worksheet on the grounds that Township lacks judication over the underlying cannabis cultivation use, lack authority to regulate and mitigate the environmental effects identified in the petition, and lacks the discretionary approval related to the cannabis cultivation operation that could serve as a basis for environmental review under the Minnesota Rule Chapter 4410.
Do the further resolve.
Be it further resolved.
Be it further resolved that the township finds that the environmental concerns raised in the petition relate solely to the use of the property as a cannabis cultivation business, which is regulated by Pine County and state environmental agencies, and not to the structures subject to township permitting. That the township incorporates the 3 site permit applications, exhibit A, B, and C, the Pine County Administrative Permit 0-25-13, that's exhibit T, and Pine County's October 18, 2025 letter to Royalton Township, that's exhibit E, and direct staff to transmit this resolution and supporting materials to the Environmental Quality Board and to notify the proper person and petition representative of the board's decision. Did everybody hear that?
Blaine, do you want to do the council's?
We have a question here.
Okay, so we're going through this review legal counsel's options, and we gave you 2 options, obviously we got 3. So where do those 2 reviews come from? Because they're obviously different.
One is to accept,
Yeah.
and one is to deny. Those are the legal counsel's options that
Okay,
he
so
supplied.
that you got from an attorney someplace?
Yes, yep, that's the resolution.
Okay. And the same person wrote them both up?
Does this eliminate, is this just for the permitting, or does this eliminate the testing of the nitrates in the water? What does the denying the resolution?
My opinion would be that if the board denies the preparation of an EAW, that stops anything from this permit, from this particular petition. Does not stop the county from continuing to investigate as it renews permits. I'm not a lawyer, but that would be my assumption.
I guess, why wouldn't we want to know where this is coming from? I live 3/4 of a mile upstream, and mine was 0.11 on nitrates. Just downstream, they've got it in the 20s. I'm a deep well, I understand, they're shallow. But if the nitrates are high in the river, as that resolution said too, where in the river? Is it downstream? And I know the aquifer moves with the stream. I'm upstream. So where did they take this? Could we go, and I'm not saying that it happened since October. I'm saying it could have been during the 28 years that it was a greenhouse, or is it from fertilizers put on by farmers? Why wouldn't we want to know where it's coming from? Irregardless of the permit, I would like to know where this is coming from. Don't we want clean water? That's my part.
It's coming from the past 200 years of farming animals. Zappa's company.
Not
It's
here.
been here. It's been here.
Old equipment that's sitting near that's dripping stuff into the water. I mean, it's contaminated. I've been up here for over 30 years, and Pocatello has always been a dirty lake. Always. They put in septic around it to try and change it. Didn't change anything. It's backwater from the Snake River. It's just, I mean, there's sewers that are going right into the river. I mean, this has been going on forever. It is not because of the cannabis. And no, I do not smoke any weed. I'm not high.
We'll move on. Legal counsel's opinion.
I recommend, this is coming through. This is dated 3:24 p.m. yesterday from Mark Allsykes of Corey and Ruby. I recommend the board adopt the resolution denying the petition. The petition focuses almost entirely on operational concerns related to cannabis cultivation, odor, lighting, fertilizer use, drip irrigation, and similar matters. Those issues fall under Pine County's Cannabis Land Use Authority and state regulatory standards, not under any discretionary authority held by the township. The petition does not identify environmental effects arising from the three structures for which site permits are pending, nor does it tie the alleged impacts to any approval the township is authorized to grant, deny, or condition. Because the township's role is limited to non-discretionary building code and setback administration, and because the petition does not present environmental concerns within the township's jurisdiction, the record supports the denial resolution.
Go ahead and open up the public forum. If anybody would like to stand at the podium, try to keep it to a minimum of 2 minutes. Okay, come on. Oh, we got one.
Our township does have, in the ordinance, I believe, you have the possibility of doing the EAWs. And I don't know if the township people realize or not, but we have had them done before the township has stood before. On two of the developments over here, there was environmental worksheets, and the board stood up for them and allowed the process to happen, at least investigate and go through it. And I think in light of the water situation, I'm not saying this is where it came from, but if we're talking more drip lines and things, I think, it doesn't hurt to take a step back momentarily, let the process take its course, do an investigation, see what's really there, and I don't think that would hurt anyone on a time frame. Thank you.
Hi, this is Deborah and I'm really tired of paying money for this. This company is following everything to the letter, not throwing anything into our soil that's gonna harm us. All the harm is done in the past, and like Pocatello is trying to clean it up. But I've been kayaking and there's been like animals, cattle in the river. And so there's farms, there's cattle, there's septics, there's construction, leaking, there's septic in there. I mean, I don't wanna waste any more money. I'm tired of it. We had to pay for all of you and for the council. I just wanna be done and I don't know how to get it done. I don't know how it's gonna end and move on.
John's
Okay, so a couple of things would be, it was brought up that not everybody on the petition lives in Royalton Township. But I would ask the question, people that were on the petition, are they within a few miles of the operation where the issues are happening? And that's why they signed it. That'd be a question for those who put the petition together. Another thing is the purpose for government is to make rules and laws so that the citizens can live in peace and harmony with their neighbors. That is the whole purpose of government. It's been total chaos for a lot of people that live next door to this operation. There's nothing in place. Conditional use permit. I own a business. I'm told I should get a conditional use permit because I have a business in Royalton Township. I'm sole proprietor. Most of my business is portable business, so I have my equipment at my place and I take it where I'm going. But that's a business in Royalton Township, and nobody knows anything that's going on. There's no meeting that says you gotta get a conditional use permit, and he has so many employees, he's got setbacks, he's got this, he's got that, what his business plan is. He wasn't raked over the coals. And a while back, there was a gentleman who had a private business here. He had a detailing business, and he got rid. He had to go through the whole process. I'm using the wrong term. I don't mean raked over the coals. He had to go through the whole process, and he had to take signs down. He had to do all kinds of things, and finally, they gave him permission to do his thing. Crickets. That's what we're getting as citizens on this whole operation. If he's in business, that's fine, but the things that apply to make them live in peace and harmony with their neighbors are necessary. This is gonna keep going on, it's gonna cost more money, because this ain't over with. It's gonna keep on taking away until things are brought into a reasonable setting so that he can operate and the neighbors can live there. Thank you.
We got a couple more. Second. No, Denise and then.
Got it.
Or, no, we got
Okay, let's get off the water, the lights, and the odor. There are ways to control that. There's shade cloths, there's HEPA filters to raise their dust, and they should be on. And if they can't be on these old facilities, then instead of building new ones, let's redo the ones that are there and put the shade cloths on. In the future, if something does come up that there was issues that should have been looked at, then there's real trouble. Now, the guy who designed those greenhouses lives in our township. And I have a letter from him saying what kind of chemicals are used and everything. And the fact that he did a whole an hour and a half with us, and Jeff was there. We were able to ask him all the questions we needed to ask. If he wasn't basically dying of cancer, he'd be here tonight to tell us. And the fact that these are old facilities, very old, and they were temporary facilities. That's where you see all over the place. Temporary facilities. I guess everything is a temporary facility.
Like I said, I tested my well by the same testing facility. Mine was very low. I'm upstream, I'm deep. But we should find out where this is coming from. I mean, mid-20s, what's it, to these 24? That's 3 is unsafe for humans, 10 for animals, and this is double that or more. We should find out why wouldn't we want to investigate this? And when we talk about cattle, sewers, that's E. coli. Nitrates you can't see. E. coli is a whole different thing, just as bad. I don't know about Patagama or anything like that, but maybe it should be tested. But my thing is if it's downriver, where did they test it in the river that it said that the river is high? Did they do it north of that and that? And I'm not saying it happened now. I just don't want it to be added to. I'm sure it was the nitrates that come from a nitrogen fertilizer, nitrogen source, is way to get nitrates. And where does it come from? There isn't too many farmers anymore farming around that close to the river that it would run into. But it also is, it takes a generation, maybe 100 years for it to disappear, I was reading. It depends on the soil, the porosity, and all of that. So I think, what are we trying to hide? Why not see what it is and conform to it? And whatever the state standards, make sure, is it being hauled away, but the stuff that's going into a different drip irrigation is going into the ground. So why add to it?
Thanks. Just responding because I was accused of not having been ranked over the polls, been coming for 2 years and 9 months to 90% of these township meetings and planning commission meetings. Every time we've been completely transparent on what we're doing. When we got our hemp license and grew hemp 2 years ago, which is in essence the exact same plant as cannabis, just a lower THC level. We bought an existing business that had lights, and that's the reason in the first meeting I came in August of 2020, whatever it was, 3, I made that point very clear, that we like the water, the pH water, and we like the lights, and that's why we're buying the business, an existing greenhouse that's been in operation for 28 years before we bought it. So getting a new business plan was not required, it was taking over an existing business. Any other business plan information that need to be reviewed has been reviewed by the county, who you deferred your licensing to, and by the state, who watches me more closely than you can ever imagine. I was in banking and healthcare for 30 years, nothing compared to compliance to this. So we are following the rules, thank you for noting that. Our first rule at Urba and Trauma is license first, we do not jeopardize the license. That means we follow the rules. And I thank the board for your continued support. You've been really responsive, and I too am sick of spending township money on legal fees as well as my own money on legal fees. So thank you.
A question about one of the ordinances that's in our book. It's in section 18, and it's called Environmental Review Program, and it's subdivision 1. And the purpose of the Environmental Review Program section is to provide for the preparation and review of environmental assessment worksheets, the EAW, environmental impact statements, EIS, and other environmental documents required under Minnesota Rules Parts 4410, 0200, blah, 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 as amended to implement the Environmental Review Program. So this is in our ordinance stating we that to guide us and direct us to do this type of assessment. Am I interpreting that correctly? John?
It's in the ordinance, yes.
So to me, I mean, even if it's saying, well, this maybe should go to Pine County, regardless, if we see a problem, we have an ordinance to support doing that research. Thanks.
Hey guys, so my point is, I guess, is if we are going to require them to do this environmental study, are we going to have every single farmer who puts fertilizer down, every single farmer who does Roundup weed killer to kill the weeds growing up around their crops, that I am sure is probably a lot more damaging to our ground and to our soil than whatever he could put in the ground would be. I mean, growing up here, I've seen a lot of people put a lot of shit in the ground. So, I guess that's my point on this.
What was your name for the?
Sarah.
Sarah?
Damon.
Damon. Thank you.
Yep. Sorry, Dad. It's only fair.
Thanks, guys. Some of the things I think that are really important is that Pine County is only looking at A through N on their permitting process. They are not looking at business plan, they are not looking at nitrates, they have no nitrate plan, they are not looking at anything that we would ask any other business within our township to do. If it isn't in the ordinance, they are not asking for it. Even if their own zoning would normally require it, because we're not part of their zoning, they aren't asking for it, and they are not looking at it. So essentially, things are going open on both sides. The water issue is something that should be looked at. It can be, it's clearly been there for a period of time, and it is a study will determine and look at the things that are important. The buildings, you say the buildings are going to cause any more effect. He's not putting any odor control on any of those new buildings. He's not required to have to do that. So any of the odor is only going to magnify, and none of that will have to be looked at. So there is things with the new build, with the new permits that will affect things, and it will increase. So yeah, that is, thank you.
We're within our canopy limit for the odor that we're producing. We can't produce any more than 2 acres of canopy. It's not allowed. So whatever we have is what we have. Right now, as I said, we're putting an acre and a half, which doesn't equate to canopy, but of plants in the ground last week. So when those come to flower, they're gonna smell. We couldn't control that smell if we wanted to. You can build a filter big enough, guys. We're an outside grow. That's what we are. And what nobody understands, nobody's pointed out, this law was written for outside grows to make companies like me competitive against the city businesses that just shoot it up in a warehouse and should be filtered because they're literally right next door to other buildings. I have 45 acres surrounding me with pine trees, guys. There couldn't be a better filtered property in this township to put this business on. So again, I'm sorry there's an order. I'm sorry you don't like it. It doesn't bother me at all. I think it smells kind of fruity. I like it. It's not a problem. Okay? Different people have different opinions. As Barb pointed out, thank God, 6 months ago. It's a matter of opinion. And the lights, I'm required to put shielding on this new building, and it will happen. John's gonna build the damn thing. So he'll be the guy responsible for making sure that the light shades are installed properly.
So the buildings that are going up, they're gonna have the odor control, and they're gonna have the filters in them, right?
Yes.
The new buildings will not have any odor filtration.
They won't have any.
The production building is required to, and that has odor filtrations. The production building does, where we dry and process it.
But none of the new greenhouses?
No,
Will not, and that's not required by the.
that's not required by the state or the county. And again, the law was written so we could compete against the big cities. The big a rural would actually have a shop.
But we actually have those in our ordinance for nuisances. We actually have that in Royalton Township for nuisances. We have rules for light and we have rules for odor.
And the lights were there when I bought the place. We talked about this a dozen
And the
times.
lights have been increased because I have documents that say there's.
When's the last time lights were on?
Hey, let's keep the cross.
Should we talk about nuisances?
We're not gonna have an argument.
No. We're not gonna have crosstalk across here.
Sorry,
We're
Ken.
gonna argue, go to the parking lot.
A couple more comments on the process, and I think the gal here had brought up too, you know, are we gonna start regulating every farmer and everything? I think we're talking when we gotta remember what we're dealing with. We're in a township situation, we're talking about local farmers who independently do small things. We're talking about a bigger enterprise who we know is not just owned locally by a couple, basically, whatever there's funding and money behind. I don't believe that this is just a ground floor, you know, and yeah, you come out of the cities to beat the competition possibly that's down there, and I don't say that it's not a viable situation. You can come out and do different things in different places, but I have trouble in believing that it is just a mom and pop like me and you and some of the other people.
Well,
I'm not saying absolutely, I'm not getting.
I own a business, pal, me and my wife, Chris. So, yeah. Have a nice day.
You know, all that. You know, all that.
Again,
Let's set it, we need to get professional.
Can I come up and show you his lights that have been on for 2 days? It's true, I've got it.
I was just there last night, the lights weren't on.
Not at the right time.
Okay.
Hey, Chris.
Moving on.
You wanna say something?
What's it gonna cost for the environmental study that the residents have to pay for? Can anybody answer that question that's asking this?
Doesn't matter.
Nothing,
According to the county, it costs $60,000 to start with, and Royalton Township has to pay every dime
Where'd you get that? Where'd you get that?
from Pine County.
It does.
60,000, you guys are complaining about the $3,000 that's getting probably paid for the lawyer today to send his words.
We don't care about clean water, I thought you were in that business.
I've been working at cleaning the sewers up. Then we need to deal with the farmer, the man that digs pits and has rusty equipment and cattle that walk around it.
That's not nitrate, like I said.
It's
toxic.
you have nitrates in sewage, you have nitrates in cattle manure, that's what grows when it creates a compost. There's nitrates in all of it.
There's nitrates in lawn.
There's nitrates in lawn fertilizer. Every green fertilized lawn around the lake is causing the lake to grow green.
Do environmental stuff.
But what does it
They
cost?
already have a well that's 23
We talked about crosstalk, we're done with that. There.
We're gonna move on. Public forum is closed. Is there a motion on the floor to approve the EAW and authorize the transmissions to the EQB and the treasurer?
Do you need that motion from the floor or between you guys?
Between us.
Thank you.
We need a motion motion on the floor for a resolution to deny the preparation of the EAW and the authorization transmission to the EQB and the petitioner.
I'm gonna make that motion.
I'll second it.
There's a motion on the floor to deny the EAW authorizing transmission of the EQB and the petitioner. All in favor? Aye. The motion is passed with the resolution at 26-3 approving the denial of the preparation. Is there a motion on the floor to adjourn?